Oh, good morning. This is Thursday, February 5th, and today we are in Matthew chapter 26. We're going to look at verses 30 through 46. Jesus says here, and it says here, and when they had sung a hymn, this is at the conclusion of the Passover feast. When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Jesus said to them, "All of you will be made to stumble because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have been raised, I will go before you to Galilee." Peter answered and said to him, "Even if all are made to stumble because of you, I will never be made to stumble." Jesus said to him, "Assuredly I say to you that this night, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter said to him, "Even if I have to die with you, I will not deny you." And so said all the disciples. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane and said to the disciples, "Sit here while I go and pray over there." And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. Then he said to them, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me." He went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done." Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Again, a second time he went away and prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done." And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. So he left them, went away again and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." When we read this passage, there's several things we can comment on and think about. We think about this agony of Christ, knowing he was about to be betrayed, knowing he was about to suffer physical anguish, be beaten with the cat o' nine tails, to be scourged, to be crucified, to have people spit in his face, pull out his beard. And I don't think he wasn't afraid because he knew he was going to rise again the third day. What was the thing he was afraid of, though? He wasn't afraid of the physical part of it. I think the thing that was the most fearful was the thought of bearing the weight of sin. Remember, he'd never known sin. He was the Holy One of God. He's absolutely morally perfect. But he was going to become sin for us, that we might receive the righteousness of God through faith in him. As we think about his words on the cross, when he was hanging there, he said, "Father, why hast thou forsaken me?" Well, because God is holy, he cannot even look upon sin. And the precious Son of God became sin. The anguish. Other gospel accounts talk about him sweating drops of blood, that the stress was so great that the capillaries in his face burst, causing him to bleed. And he prayed, "Father, if it be possible, take this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done." The cup he refers to is not a cup per se is figurative, not literal. It's the wrath of God, the cup of God's wrath being poured out on him for the sins of the whole world. And he went willingly, because he always did those things which pleased the Father. So we think about that. We think about this whole scene. He's just had the Passover feast with his disciples, thinking about the freedom and the deliverance from bondage in Israel, or in Egypt, and how God delivered them from bondage. And they celebrated the Passover, and he spent that time with his disciples. He gave them the new covenant in his blood. He told them he was going to die for them. And now the hour is coming. And he knows in advance, because he's God. We could think about also the disciples. Even though they'd been told, they had a little bit too much lamb, and their eyes were heavy. It's normal after a big meal. Go for a walk up the hill, and you're tired. You sit down, you get comfortable, and out. I'd have been out like a light. It's easy to, I think, be critical of the disciples here. Say, well, the Lord asked them to pray with him for an hour, and they couldn't even do that. Well, how many of us could have? Watching and waiting with the Lord, praying. And they fell asleep. How many times have you fallen asleep while trying to pray? we could talk about that some more. But what do we glean? What's the thing that just stands out to you the most in this passage? When I think about the prayer in the garden, I think about the spiritual battle. You know, where God says that he could have called his angels to deliver him. He told that to Pilate. He said, my kingdom's not of this world. If it was, my servants would come and deliver me. But as we think about the fact that Jesus knew what was coming, and yet he willingly went to the cross. He willingly suffered and died. That's the part that stands out to me the most. That he went and he prayed to this Father, and he prayed. You know, you think about Revelation, I think it's chapter 6, says that Jesus is the Lamb of God slain before the foundation of the world. So this wasn't like a new revelation to Jesus. He'd known from the very beginning that his purpose in coming and being born in this world was to die, to be a sacrifice, to pay for the sin debt, to redeem man, to purchase him out of slavery, because he was enslaved by sin the moment Adam and Eve ate of that fruit. We read in Genesis 3:15, the promise of the seed of the woman that would come to crush the seed of the serpent's head. And that's what he's come to do. And yet, he prays for strength. He prays for the strength to go through it, because he knew that the weight was going to be heavy. So how do we apply this to our life? Well, I think that the thing that we have to focus on is, because Jesus loved us so much that he willingly suffered and died. Are we willing to live our lives for him? That's the question we must answer. That's what we're confronted with. He said, if it be possible, take this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. The cost was heavy. It cost him everything. It cost him his life. Are you and I willing to give our life for the Lord? It was Jim Elliot, missionary to Ecuador, who is quoted in oftentimes is writing in flyleaf of his Bible or a book somewhere, that he said something. He said this. He said, only one life to live will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. And he said this as well. I believe it was him that said this as well. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. I think we need to think about this passage in terms of Jesus going to the garden to pray for strength to be willing to die and give his life to God, to the Father. Give his life for the sins of the world. Am I willing to give my life? Am I willing to give my life for the cause of Christ? That's what this says to me. Am I willing to give my life for the will of God? Here's my life, Lord. I give it to you. Do with it what you will. Take me where you want me to go. Lord, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Not my will, but thy will be done. Knowing that his will is perfect. His will is good. And that he's granted us, according to Philippians chapter 1, verse 29, it's been granted to us not only that we should be saved, but that we should have belief in him, but that we should suffer with him. And I know that it goes counter to what a lot of people think about becoming a Christian. But it means that we've been given the privilege of suffering with Christ. Look it up, Philippians 1:29. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a blessed day. We'll see you again tomorrow.